For those of you that do not know me, my name is Naomi Maestas. I have the pleasure of being your county clerk. I started in the office in 2005. Took a brief hiatus from the office about 2013, came back in 2014, and my predecessor in 2016 said, hey, you've worked in the office, why don't you think about running? So lo and behold, I'm serving my second term. I will term out next year. A little bittersweet, I'm sad. Starting to get my momentum, but it is what it is. Definitely love what I do. If you know me, I'm very, 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 very passionate about voting. There's a lot of things that our office encompasses, but elections have stolen my heart. Real quick, I just want to touch base. I brought a lot of information. I'll leave it back there for you all. I can gather it later, or you guys can share it with friends. Some important dates that are coming up, which is filing day. Filing day is coming up on the 29th. So that's one day. This election is a regular local election. In 2018, legislation was passed to consolidate all of our small elections. In our county, that consists of UNMLA and our LAPS school board. This year, we'll also have the Mirador subdivision. So that it's a very small district. Two of their board members are going to be up for election. The league has some really, really great information on it. This is something new, and they have a lot better information than what I do, or that I can explain in the brief time that I have. Did you have your hand raised?
Yes, I wondered if there's just one day as a filing day, or if it was several days.
One day, 9 to 5, the municipal building on the 29th, Tuesday the 29th. So if you have any potential candidates, please tell them to first check their voter registration. Make sure they're in the correct district. Make sure their name is as registered. That's the way they want to appear on the ballot. It's very important. There's been times that candidates want to run by their nickname, but if their voter registration reads their legal name, they have to run by their legal name. So just something to always consider. The deadline to change that has actually passed. That was August 9th. We actually received the proclamation for the election that day as well from our Secretary of State. A lot of this stuff so this is all encompassing. There's a pretty big dates that you have there. Next date is, any of you want to be poll workers, I ask you to sign up. We're pretty good, I think, for this election. However, if anybody would like to learn the election process before the next big election, which is next year, please come by, see us, we'll get you scheduled. We are very flexible. To us, it's very important that people take part of the election process and learn the ins and outs of an election, and there's no better way to do that than to be an election worker. And I know a lot of you do that right now. And I know a lot of you would do it just for your civic duty because you believe in the process. However, our legislation, just this past legislature, there was legislation that was passed that increased the pay for our poll workers. So now on election day, the most we can pay is $400, and that typically goes to our presiding judges who have the most responsibility. They have a lot of responsibility on a very, very vital and important date. So we pay them the most, and then we stagger it down from there. So that training for our poll workers is going to tentatively right now, it's for Tuesday the 12th. We had wanted another day that week, however, a lot of folks are not available. So what we're going to do is wait until closer to the election, probably after early voting starts. We'll have another training for more poll workers at that time, because we just want to try to encompass everybody that we can.
The 12th of what month?
September, sorry, thank you. The 12th of September. Federal ballots will start going out on Saturday, September 23rd. I have a great handout back there for our UOCAVA voters, are our overseas and federal voters. So they get their ballot transmission a little bit earlier to allow them time to get it back to us. Typically, they do vote electronically. They waive their right to secrecy because their ballots are handled by our election manager, and then she disseminates them throughout the process to the election board. Tentative machine certification. So this is our logic and accuracy testing. This is a great way if anybody questions machines, if they have any curiosities about the machines and how they work. The logic and accuracy testing is going to happen on Tuesday, October 3rd right now. Depending on how many machines we certify that day, then we'll move forward to maybe a subsequent day as well. We just need to figure out how many more machines are going to need to be have that logic and accuracy testing. if any of you know anybody that's curious or have made accusations about the machines, this is a great time. Come on over, see what they do. And New Mexico has 3 forms of audits, so we do that. First audit, that check on the machines. After the election, we have another audit. Again, another piece of legislation that was passed this last legislature is there will be an audit after every election, every statewide election, and every county will participate. Prior to that, it was a randomization that would happen. There's some algorithm that the auditing group with the state would do, and they'd pull out certain precincts for certain counties, so not everybody was participating. This year, everybody will participate, which is great. And what happens during that time is a certain precinct is chosen, a certain counting group, so that's either your early voting, your election day voting, or your absentee voting. They pick out a certain precinct, and we hand count those ballots against the tape register. And then obviously after that, another audit that takes place is the audit at the statewide level. So a lot of auditing in the state of New Mexico. So we start, that will be our logic and accuracy testing, poll worker training, federal ballots go through. Voter registration closes on October 10th. I know a lot of folks are like, oh my gosh, the voter registration closes. I did get this question earlier. So anybody that's currently registered in a certain party that wants to change their party for whatever reason, they have 28 days before the election to do so. That voter registration closes after that, so you cannot change your party after that. You cannot register online any longer or by mail. However, because of past legislation, past years ago, now we have same-day voter registration, which is great for our voters. So anybody that's not affiliated with a major party can change their party affiliate, or I'm sorry, can register to vote and vote that day. So it's great. We've had great success with this. People that maybe would not have been able to participate in an election are now able to do so. So voter registration closes on the 10th. We also start early voting on the 10th. That'll be in our boards and commissions room. And then that will 8 to 5, Monday, it starts on Tuesday, but after that Tuesday, then it goes Monday through Friday. And then on the 21st, we extend those hours. So we start voting on Saturdays, and we start voting an extra hour. So it's 8 to 6. So it's Monday through Saturday after that. All early voting ends on November 4th. This is something new that's passed with this last passed legislation. The last day to apply for an absentee ballot is October 24th. So that is because the United States Postal Service has told us the timing that we had before does not allow for voters to get their ballots back to us in a timely manner. So they closed that to the 24th, which is 2 weeks before the election. All early voting and absentee voting ends on Saturday, November 4th. So all early voting ends that day. And then we have election day on November 7th. And then we'll canvass the election on November 14th. That's all the tentative, those are all the important dates. I have a lot of handouts out there with all of this great information on it. I know I've tried to
It's right
talk
over
about-
here where you picked up lunches, over
Yeah.
there where Hetty's sitting.
Yeah, there's a
Over
lot
there.
of great information back there.
Do you
So-
want to leave that and I'll bring it back
Yeah,
to you?
most certainly, yeah,
So
definitely.
they can do it afterwards?
1000%.
Okay.
1000.
Yeah.
I'll stand for any questions if anybody has. I know I talked fast. I'm trying to let your next presenter speak, so yes.
You didn't mention the change in law allowing people to permanently request and.
Yes,
absentee.
thank you for bringing that up. That's going to start in 2024. You can now, because of the recent, we had a huge election bill. I was one of 3 clerks that actually spoke in support of it. So I'm happy. It's really great. There was some issues there. One of the main things is the absentee, permanent absentee list that you can opt into. Beginning next year, you just check the box. I want to be part of this absentee list. I want to get an absentee ballot sent to me all the time for every election. There are some things that if you don't vote, you don't go in person, that'll take you off of the list. There's some things that you can get off the list, but this is great for our snowbirding community. That a lot of people snowbird, and then there's other great for our community that are in a facility that it's a permanent facility that they always get an absentee ballot. So, just real quick, for the reason there's a lot of contention about the election bill was the felon voter. So now, and I'm happy to report, I was a supporter of this, felon voters, as long as you're not incarcerated, so as long as you're not in jail, you're in person, you're in front of me, I want to vote, you can vote now. Before that, what would happen is they would have to wait to meet the conditions of their parole or probation. Sadly, in 2020, we had a voter out in White Rock who had met the conditions of his probation. 7 years prior, we had never received the paperwork stating that he was now okay to vote. So fortunately, he left very disgruntled, almost in tears, and I just think that if you're not incarcerated, we want to promote recidivism and try to get these folks back into our communities and being an active community member, and I think voting is one of the best ways for them to be able to do that. So, yes,
You mentioned you have X number of days to change your party.
28,
This
yes.
is not a primary, right?
This is not.
So then why does it matter?
Some people want to change the party for whatever reason, and it's at their discretion, yeah. Yeah, I'm not too sure why they would want to, but they might have personal reasons. This is a nonpartisan election. Yeah. Any other questions? No. So another thing I'd just like to bring up real quick, I've started the conversation, I'm part of a couple of national organizations, and I want to spark the conversation now here. I've spoken to our county counselors, and I think there's some interest in probably maybe moving forward, or to start the conversation about ranked choice voting. So it's something. So hopefully we'll see that. Hopefully we'll see that in the near future. So once that we get to that conversation with our county counselors, I will have the subject matter experts come and present. I'm not a subject matter expert, but I'm a fan of it. I think it's good, and we'll see what transpires. And that's that meeting will probably be sometime, maybe October, November time frame. I don't know that it's enough time for our next 2024 election, but possible. And that typically encompasses our county council members. But I think we're going to see, it's the talks nationwide we're going to probably eventually see that come down for a lot of our different elections. So.
Thank you, Naomi.
You're welcome.
Probably see you
Thank you.
again.
And if any questions, please come and see me over at the office, or feel free to call me.